Good evening and welcome back to the stream. I am your host, Justin D. Morgan, and I have parts of the Amiga 1000 on my workbench ready to go. Let's see, I'd like to say hello to Retro Techie, Thomas Armstrong, Zodium, Jack68K, Joe from Joe's Computer Museum, and Spirit Walker Adventures. Welcome. And go to the table cam. All right, I've got, actually, this is going to get old having that on the, there we go. Now the chat is now behind the camera, so it won't look like I'm staring off into the shelfless abyss over there. So, I'd like to remind everyone that please smash that like button and subscribe if you're not already. And speaking of subscriptions, I do have a 128 subscriber contest going on, and I am close to that ever-elusive 128 number. But I have the Amiga 1000, or parts. I have parts strewn about because last time I got it to boot halfway into Workbench, and then off stream I ultrasonically cleaned it. And, well, there was some collateral damage in the ultrasonic cleaner, although I believe that the traces are okay. I think the collateral damage was just that the solder mask on the, so this is going to be the chip RAM expansion module. The solder mask decided to detach. So I'll have to fix that. That's going to be fun because those are large surfaces. And also a small area of solder mask on the writable cache store module. So I don't know what prompted that. Probably old age. It looks like it is limited to that small area there. The SCSI sidecar module, which I didn't show replacing the single cap on stream because it was a single cap. But I went ahead, and since I was going to be running the ultrasonic cleaner, I went ahead and did that real quick while I had the Amiga board in. It looks like its solder mask is, well, it kind of looks like those traces there. The solder mask is lifting, so I guess well, there's a little place where it chipped off. I have a feeling in making sure, focus, there we go. Little place there it flaked off, so I have a feeling in fixing that, I'll have a little more solder mask come off. But fortunately, the Amiga 1000 mainboard itself had no problems in the ultrasonic cleaner. It looks very clean and shiny, and not only is there's no flux on it, there's no bug casings, there's no dirt, and there's no copious amounts of deoxit. It is one nice clean board. And it looks like all the solder mask is intact. The most that I lost on this board was part of the serial number label. Oh well. And I guess the printing on this chip here kind of faded. Well, actually, it looks like there's a few chips that the printing's faded. But overall, the Amiga 1000 board is nice and clean. I do, though, before I go through the trouble of putting solder mask on these boards, just to make sure that nothing failed in the wash, I thought I would go ahead and try to power this up real quick. So, let's see here. The lack of solder mask will well, let's see here. Is that board? Alright, so I'm going to put the, plug the chip RAM expansion into that port. Move the solder away from the board. Let's see here. Plug the power supply in. It's unplugged. Alright, plug the board of many pins that need to be lined up. Something tells me I probably shouldn't have plugged the power supply in so quickly because this board is kind of... Oh, wait a minute. It looks like it did line it up. Yeah, okay. And, yep. Alright, it's in. And one reason I was slightly delayed, the board of mini pins. Yes, it is. It has... Yes, and to save time and trouble, I have gone ahead and set up the Gotek, which is actually running flash floppy, because anyone that was on the last stream would know that the Amiga floppy drive needs to be cleaned and lubricated, because it did its best in booting to Workbench and then probably got gummed up on some lubrication that needs to be replaced on the probably stepper motor. There we go. I also found a different video cable that was not nearly as difficult to plug in. Let's see, I also have the fancy remote control for my scaler. And I will add the stream. And nope, not that view. Nope, not that view. There we go. Nope. That's better. There we go. So, let me come in, and I'm using my... Because the power supply is not assembled, I'm using my smart switch. Whoop, wrong one. There we go. That... Huh. Hold on. Okay, I tried turning it on and nothing happened. Oh, that's right. I turned the physical switch off in the Amiga power supply last time for some silly reason. There we go. Now I've got fan. Now, hopefully I've set this Gotek up correctly. And okay, hold on just a sec. Oh, hold on. I think I may have also picked the wrong... Nope. That is the correct input. Alright, hold on. Let me make sure I've get my cables crossed up back here. Okay. So that's plugged into CV1. What did I do with that? Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. Let's try again. I'm going to add another silicon mat under the Amiga motherboard just to make sure that it wasn't touching my workbench anywhere. I also just double check that I am using the correct video cable. And oh. Well, the good news is it is actually doing something. It just loaded Kickstart. Not that you can see anything on screen. Did I? Huh. This is weird. Is this a bad video cable? I mean, I know I'm using an audio cable. Wait a minute. Signal direction. Signal direction? Is this some silly directional cable? I mean, I know I spent a lot of money at the thrift store for a cable. And yes, it's an audio cable, but composite video and audio use the same cable, but there is a there's an arrow on the cable that's showing the signal flow. So I just flipped the cable around so that the signal flow is correct. And if this doesn't work, I'll go upstairs and get another cable. Because it is loading Kickstart. Oh, you can't see that. It's loading Kickstart from the Gotek. And I bet if I switch disks, oh, what do you know? We can't see it, but it looks like it's loading Workbench. So weird. Alright, well, I guess let me press the menu button on the scaler. Come on, just show me the menu. Alright. If this doesn't convince you this is live, then nothing will. Because, yeah, there we go. It's It's booting Workbench. We can't see a thing. My scaler is out to lunch or something. Or this cable is... Alright. Okay, let me see if there's a cable on my shelf. Which I probably didn't grab because it's a... Oh! I have 2 cables on my shelf. Wonderful. So let's see here. That's a component video cable. And that is a component video cable and audio. This one's only being held together with masking tape. Alright. I think I can get the masking tape off. I don't know what kind of masking tape they use at the thrift store, but it is the cheap stuff that turns to goo on cables very quickly. Alright, let's try this cable. The high-quality Radio Shack audio cable may be defective. Okay. The bad news is this is a monster video cable. The good news is that if the price tag is correct, I only paid $4 for it. If this doesn't work, then I guess I'll have to look and see if I maybe did break something. Maybe I might have to check the video jack. Alright. Let's try this. Oh, there we go. Alright, well, we have video now. Which means this cable that I tried to use, which you certainly can't... There we go. So this cable that I tried to use is bad. This is a bad cable. It might mean someone donated a bad cable to the thrift store. You know what we do with bad cables? So that I don't get it mixed up and try to use it again later. Oh. Well, that's weird cable construction. Alright, if I knew how to create a YouTube poll, I would, but does anyone want to guess how many wires is in each one of the sides of this audio cable? I'll give you a clue. Your choices are 1, 2, 3, and 4. And yet I thought right, well, I'll give you all... Yeah. Well, Thomas, the ends of the cable are... they are on the floor, and I will probably take a look at them and see if I can reuse them, because actually I'm kind of wondering if it's the cable, not the ends. The ends might actually be good. They rolled under the table, but I wanted to cut the end off that cable so that I don't get it mixed up and do this exact same thing later and then realize how silly I was for trying it. So apparently, and actually no one's guessed the correct answer. Yeah, let me go back to table cam here. Come on, focus. Focus. There we go. There are 4 wires in each one of these. I was expecting there to be a wire with a shield. So, I don't know. I suspect that's just really weird. Hi, Patrick. Welcome. Yeah, 0. Might as well have been 0, Joe. All right, so... All right. Well, using the Gotek, I got it into Workbench. It only cost me $9.95 and a few minutes reading the Flash Floppy wiki to figure out how to configure the Gotek. And if anyone is curious, you just need to put a jumper on put a jumper on S0 on the Gotek. So that's the only jumper you need to have on it. I'll show it close up. And then in my ff.config file, I put, I think interface equals Amiga's the key. And then just put the ADF files on the USB drive. And if anyone's wondering what the 995 was, that was the, to pay Cloanto for the download of the disk images. Yay for Cloanto. But anyways, I was able to boot. Yay! So I guess now I can take care of these solder mask issues from the ultrasonic cleaning. And actually, there's one other thing I do have down here. I might try to do it. I did, in the process of me trying to find the Amiga images so that I could boot this Amiga from the Gotek, because I don't have what I need to properly clean the floppy drive. I would like to put the floppy drive in it. The UART cable. Oh, no. I do not have the UART cable for the Gotek. I bought a Gotek that was already upgraded to flash floppy. So I don't have the cable I'd need to program a new one. So, but the cool thing is, though, once you upgrade to flash floppy, then firmware updates are done by putting a firmware image on the thumb drive. So I can update the new versions of flash floppy without needing the cable. So anyways, that was a relief to find out that I did not actually do the... There is one electrolytic well, let's see here. There we go. There is one electrolytic capacitor on this floppy drive that I can see, but I think Thomas is referring to a serial cable for programming the microcontroller. I do not know if the Amiga drives suffer from the capacitor problem like the Atari drives. I do know there are 3 electrolytic capacitors on this board, and maybe I should order replacements because they might need to be replaced. And I do not have such small capacitors. At least those appear to be through-hole. But I know for a fact this floppy drive needs internally cleaned. There is dirt in it, and I think it probably needs lubricated. So, while I probably should just go ahead and replace those capacitors if I'm going to bother disassembling it, I don't know if they suffer from the problem, but it does have a couple. Oh, and I'm finding more capacitors on this board as I look around it, because there's another one. So I'm going to have to start to take metal pieces off the drive just to see how many electrolytics there are on it. Yeah, actually, if Vintage Hillbilly Shack shows up, he might know. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and... I realized I forgot to remove... Yeah, I may just stick the Gotek in it, too. Honestly. The only thing is that there'll be the hole for the... Or maybe I'll have to look and see if there's a 3D printable bracket to mount the Gotek in the Amiga 1000. I'll have to see if maybe the encoder wheel sticks out where the button goes. I may just put the Gotek in the Amiga. I haven't decided. That would certainly be a whole lot easier than trying to repair the floppy drive. You know, that's not really working that well. I'm going to try this. I got one of those fiberglass pins. Basically, right now, I'm just trying to get the loose solder mask to come off the board so that then when I put new solder mask down, I have a good surface to adhere to. Yeah. Yes, it is a lot of area to cover, but it is... Because yeah, this solder mask just... I don't know if it's just because this wasn't a very good board to begin with. Or if maybe the solder mask just never was adhered well or what, but yeah. Because it looks like it's... Because, yeah, I think everywhere where it looks light green, that is loose solder mask. Yeah. Yeah, I know. And this is so much solder mask to put on. I am tempted to go and get the paintbrush that I have for painting trim, because yeah, this is just insane. Oh, and this is just this side of the board. It it did it on the other side too. And yeah, the paintbrush I have is, oh, it's going to take a while. If I could. Yeah, I know. There's like, I mean, really, I knew that I might forget it. I might forget to take it out. I mean, that is an idea. I'm just going to go with it. Wasn't the solder mask wasn't that great to begin with, because, or maybe it was. It might have already started to delaminate from storage conditions. All right, so this is the chip RAM expansion module. So the exact part, it's the Commodore Amiga RAM X 256x4, part number 327042. It goes in the front of the computer. So there's a slot on the front of the Amiga 1000. Let me see, is this the... So there's the front cover that's in the middle of the machine that you'd pull off, and then you took the module. There's half of it. I don't know where the other half of the case is for it. But yeah, you pull the front cover off, then you'd plug it in, and it expanded the chip RAM by 256K. So it'd give you a total of 512K chip RAM. And I guess for those of you not familiar with the Amiga architecture, the chip RAM is the RAM that the chipset has access to. So the video, and those chips. Whereas the fast RAM, the processor has dedicated access to. So I believe the Amiga 1000, it shipped with 256K of chip RAM. And I don't remember how much fast RAM it shipped with. It might have been 512K, or maybe it was... I do know that by the time the Amiga 1000 released, it was kind of already had... Oh, thank you, Garth. So yeah, I think, let's see, I'm looking on Wikipedia here, because it was oh, they were going to ship this thing with 128K of RAM. Yeah, I'm glad they didn't. But even with the RAM it shipped with, it was still okay, that's right. So on the Amiga 1000, it shipped with 256K of chip RAM and no fast RAM. So, and then you'd add this module to get another 256K of chip RAM. So the chip RAM, it's shared between the processor and the chipset. And then fast RAM, only the processor has access to. So the processor doesn't have to it can just use it anytime. It doesn't have to wait for its turn. So, now I do have an expansion module for this Amiga sitting over on the bench. Right here. And it actually goes in the Amiga. And it will upgrade, it'll add 1 megabyte of fast RAM. So in fact, you pull the processor out, you put the processor there, and there's 1 megabyte of memory. So this would add a megabyte. Because you got 256K RAM when the Amiga was released. I think that put it at a disadvantage with the Atari and because I think the Atari ST came out with 512K of RAM. Or something like that. So anyways, I'm glad this computer has this chip RAM module. And actually, there, who... Actually, the funny thing is, because, let's see. Oh, yeah, Patrick... the funny thing is, there were no electrolytic caps on this board. It has capacitors, but those are 8 tantalum capacitors. So there was... I don't think there's anything that leaked on this board. I think I'm really not sure it was the greatest solder mask in the world. And yeah, I'm going to ponder for a moment if I have anything bigger than this paintbrush, because... yeah, now, there we go. That is very possible. That maybe the solder mask was defective from the factory, because... Alright, so... And now I've got the same quandary Jay did on solder mask colors. The green seems too dark, the yellow seems too light, but... Well... blame the bottom. Yeah. All right, let me see if I've got a... maybe I'll go with green. You won't see it most of the time anyways. Alright, let me see if I've got anything bigger. Oh, I got blue solder mask. That's definitely the wrong color. I have eucalyptus oil. At least I could be soothed while I paint this on. I could just flood the thing with solder. Yeah, I know. Cover everything. Well, cover everything. Well, I guess the one good thing about using such a small paintbrush is it probably means I won't put it on too heavy and it should cure fairly quickly. Yeah, I'm just going to... Yeah, basically at this point, I'm just going to paint. I'm not even going to try to stay in the lines of the bad solder mask. I think putting solder mask over the... I'm just going to try to avoid the... Ah, now that's actually a good... it does look like they did solder mask the fiberglass. But I think Joe... I think that might be it. It's just a thin coat of solder mask from the factory. And remember, this computer was stored in a Virginia attic for 25 to 30 years. It's my estimate. So it went through a lot of heat, cold cycles. I mean, sure, there's parts of the country that get hotter, but if it says anything, if I call my air conditioning company and schedule a service appointment on my upstairs unit, they will only schedule me for like an 8 or a 9 a.m. service appointment because of how hot it can get in an attic during the summer. Yeah, they'll see that their computer tells them attic unit, and yeah, if they think they're going to have to work on the unit upstairs, then yeah, they will only schedule me for like 8 or 9 a.m. And depending on how long they're going to be here, only 8 a.m. So I'm going to try to avoid the pins as much as I can. Although I guess it's not the end of the world. I can always scrape this off if I get some on the pins and I had to rework it, but... Actually, I would be curious to know if anyone who ordered a tube of sample 88 by chance got another order ship email recently. Because out of the blue this morning, and I gotta follow up on it. I received another email from Amtech saying, your order is on its way. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I would say that this this solder mask was just not intended to be long term. Ah. Yeah. Well, I'll have to see if they actually shipped anything. That was when I got the email this morning, I was in the midst of catching up on emails from over the weekend. Because the thing is, I think last week during my stream, I noticed that their website was down. Although, speaking of that, Joe, I think Jamco's website's back up. But yeah, I think during my stream last week, someone asked me a question about the Tacky Flux, and I went to their website to try to look it up, and I don't know, maybe they switched web hosts or something, or who knows, but Amtech's website was down. Well, actually, not only was it down, it was almost like it had been deleted, because I got their the web page from their web host company. So maybe Amtech changed web hosting companies. I don't know. So it's also possible that they might have, somewhere in their website upgrade or whatever they did, it might have kicked an incorrect order processing email. We shall see. I do know the Sample 88, even though it is much harder to remove with isopropyl alcohol than what I had been using, the ultrasonic cleaner cleaned it off. So yes, I know Joe had been trying to place an order from Jamco. Of course. Oh, VHS, there's actually a question that came up that you might know the answer to. Do the Amiga floppy drives suffer from the capacitor rot like the Atari drives? Or hopefully I remember the question correctly. Do I have a larger brush? I do not have a larger brush. Or I don't think I do. I guess I could go double check. Because I had I had a package of paint brushes. And oh wait. I thought I had used the last paintbrush that was in the package, but turns out I do have a larger paintbrush. There we go. Well, okay, it'll be good enough for that end, but okay, it'll be fine for the this one end where I can just go crazy and not have to worry about painting over anything, but I do need to for even this area I will stick to this brush that I can control better. Yeah, I thought I'd used the last paintbrush. I'm glad you said something to make me look over and see that the package was still on the shelf. Because while I do sometimes do silly things like hold on to packages to remember what I bought, in this case I do remember where I got these. I think I know about where on the shelf they are, and if they moved them I can ask, because it's the local hardware store. So unlike your big home improvement retailers, where sometimes it's a wonder if you can even find the associate to get help from, because they all seem to be hiding somewhere. The local hardware store is more than willing to help you find even the smallest of things. Anyways, there's the okay, the floppy drive that was in this Amiga is actually through-hole capacitors from what I can tell. So this Amiga's floppy drive just maybe needs oh. Greetings. It's good to know that the Computer Reset trailer has a good home. There we go. And now, time for Mega Brush. I can find a way to paint with it. I'm sure Joe will charge me royalties for using the name that he so caringly put in the chat. I may have to kind of fill in a few spots with the smaller brush, but This will at least get it most quickly covered. Got a paintbrush bristle on that. There we go. Oh, wait a minute. There's another bristle. All right. Oh, and another bristle. There we go. I mean, I'm sure this solder mask would cure with a bristle stuck in it, but it would annoy me to find a paint bristle in the solder mask. And I think I got... Oh. Oh, there we go. There's the problem. Pick these. There we go. Happy little solder mask. Well, getting paint bristles in the solder mask is not what I would consider a happy little accident. All right. So there's that. I'm going to take the smaller paintbrush, and there's a few clumps and lumps and other... Oh, that's the original solder mask. Make it look all pretty because no one will see it, but I will know that it's not covered. There we go. And now okay, so now that I've covered one side of the board with UV solder mask, it is time to go get the totally not a nail curing UV lamp. There we go. I will... There. Because who cares what the brand name is? They're not a sponsor. Oh, this board doesn't... Oh, it just barely fits inside. All right. So now that I have the... I'm going to catch up on the chat here while the board is in the UV curing device on my workbench. Let's see here. Let's see. Any questions? AT Tiny 4330. Okay. So Joe soldered an AT Tiny 4313, and now he has me interested. Ooh, okay. That looks small. Data sheet. I don't know that I want the complete data sheet, but I want the dimensions. All right. Where are you hiding the dimensions? Typical characteristics. Pin configurations. I mean, that looks small, but summary data sheet. You know, you can count on Microchip to hide the dimensions. I just want the dimensions. Okay, Mauser. Mauser won't hide the dimensions from me. Or maybe they will. I just want a vendor to tell me how big this chip is. Something tells me Joe did not use the dip version of this chip. Oh, the UV lamp kicked off. All right. Hey, the chat is going faster than I can go. Oh. Yes, Retro Techie, I enjoy vintage computing. Sometimes you actually get to use the vintage computer before it demands maintenance. Datasheet page 264. All right. If anyone's never seen a datasheet from Microchip, it's like has everything in it. Page 264. Oh. Oh. Yeah. Oh. Let's see here. Share. Screen. All right. So anyone wondering how big this chip Joe is soldering is? So here's the dimensions. Unit of measure is millimeters. So D and E. Oh, It's a 3mm by 3mm chip. How cute. It's so cute. Ah, yes. There you go. All right. I knew it was going to be small when Joe said something, but you can put it on a US quarter and it's smaller than George's head. Yeah. Yes, that is a dehumidifier behind me. So it keeps the basement at a reasonable humidity level. Yeah. I would just immediately lose that chip. So would I probably. Yes, because until it decides to cure, it's, well, going to be loads of fun. It still kind of looks wet. Yep. Oh, there we go. It kicked off again. So let's take a look at the board. Let's see here. Well, I tried not to put it on too thick, but it still kind of feels like it needs one more go. It kind of looks like it's still a little wet in some places. So I'm going to flip it around again and... yeah. Yeah, $2.50 per chip. I would be crawling on the floor for hours on end to find the lost chip. Yeah, I had it on. Yeah, maybe I should have just turned off the timer, but... Well, I ran it for 5 minutes, and it still looked wet, so I flipped the board around, and then put it in for 5 minutes, and it still looked wet in a couple of places. Now you've got all of our curiosities piqued, and we will be awaiting with bated breath from all the usual places that sell the cool Apple stuff. And hopefully this board will be done. Yeah. If I can get it good enough. Let's see what it looks like. Well, it at least feels like it's dry enough now that I can flip it around and do the other side. Alright. I may still have to cure it some more, but I may have put the solder mask on just a bit too thick in some spots. Alright, so the other side. Let's see how bad it is. Yeah, it seems, I don't know, it seems like the way the solder mask was applied, and it's affecting the ground planes mostly. So that's pretty solid there. All right. The only thing I could think of would be to just put this board back in the ultrasonic cleaner for more time and just let the solder mask come completely off. But yeah, I didn't realize this. And actually, the thing is, the only reason I put this board in the ultrasonic cleaner is because of all the dirt that was on it. I didn't have to do any repairs to this board. I just wanted to get the caked on dirt off of it. I guess in hindsight, if I'd realized how the solder mask was going to react to it, I would have just sprayed it with isopropyl alcohol and hoped enough of the dirt came off of it. Because that is the only reason I put it through the ultrasonic cleaner, was to Hey Steve, welcome. I am repairing, right now just repairing ultrasonic cleaner collateral damage. This board had 0 repairs done to it, but it was that dirty that I put it through the ultrasonic cleaner with the other boards, and the solder mask decided that it no longer wanted to stay on the board. So I am giving it a lovely new coat of UV Cure solder mask. And then I've got the one other board, but it's a much smaller area. Or 2 other boards, but they're much smaller areas to repair. And again, it's the solder mask. luckily the Amiga. I was actually relieved to see that the Amiga logic board. I guess it was probably a better PCB to begin with. Yep. All right. Well, I'm about to switch to the smaller brush. Because I got to get around components. Well, I didn't really want to get UV solder mask on that capacitor, but oh, it'll be fine. It was bound to happen. Hi, Bruce. I think Bruce recently posted another video on ultrasonic cleaners, which I haven't had a chance to watch yet. Well, my tantalum capacitors are just going to have little, happy little trees painted on them. And that is exactly what those are. The little happy little trees on the happy little tantalum mountains. If I ever have to rework this board, I'll just have to get out the happy little scraper to scrape off this solder mask. Hi, Alex. Yes, there we go. Actually, it looks like I might have just about all the bare copper covered. Yeah, this board just was not happy going through the ultrasonic cleaner. Oh, there's a little more. All right, is that? I've tried to go a little lighter on the UV solder mask just so hopefully it doesn't take as long to cure, because dead air just does not really make for great YouTube content. All right, let me get the little piece of the there we go. Got a there we go. All right, and promptly drop the plunger for the solder mask. pop this into the oven. I'm just going to set it for constant. Oh. Oh, well, actually... Alright, and while that is baking, I guess let me take a look at this next card here. So this card is the SCSI sidecar I bought. And the the solder mask. Just, actually, for the most part, it did fine. It was just this little bit here. So, in fact, actually, if I'm just gonna dab some solder mask on it, and I might be able to just stick it into stick it in far enough to cure this while this other one's in. There we go. I don't know when I'll be able to test this, so I just want to go ahead and yeah, I'm trying to find the it's for the Amiga 1000. So all these boards are for the Amiga 1000. There was some collateral damage in the ultrasonic cleaner. So the solder mask came off of 3 of the boards. So this board, this is the writable. Okay, brain blocked on the name of it. So on this board, the solder mask came off of these traces here for whatever reason. So writable cache store? That doesn't sound right. Anyway, it's the board that stores the Kickstart image. So the Amiga 1000 went to production. The ROMs weren't ready to put Kickstart in ROM. So instead, Commodore made this board that it's a daughter board that goes on the logic board, and it has 256K of RAM on it. The ROMs on the Amiga 1000 have enough code to read a Kickstart floppy. So it reads the Kickstart floppy, stores it into the RAM on this board, and then it write protects the RAM on this board, and then reboots the Amiga, and then Kickstart runs from this board, and then we'll present the Workbench prompt, because Kickstart. So then you have to put the Workbench disk in. Later Amigas, the Amiga 1000 was the only one that did that. Later Amigas, they all shipped with Kickstart in ROM. And in fact, surprisingly, at some point you might think that Commodore would have gone back and cost reduced the Amiga 1000 and made a version that had the Kickstart in ROM, But I think they discontinued the Amiga 1000 before they got to that point. Now, there are boards that you can get to so that you can put a Kickstart ROM in your Amiga 1000 instead of using a Kickstart floppy. But the boards I've found that are ready-made are for a different revision of the Amiga 1000 that have the ROM positions, the ROMs in different places. So I would have to modify one of those designs if I wanted to do it. So anyways, I think this board will fit under my UV lamp. Oh, well, okay, that's still wet. So, yeah. Yep. Well, I don't know if Amiga's chime, but I hope it makes sound. That's for sure. Yes, there's aluminum and then there's aluminium. And I wonder which country that is. Yes. Special designer capacitors. Yes, I like that. As I continue to browse the chat while I wait for the solder mask to cure. Yeah, I know. I couldn't believe that solder mask came off like that. Yeah, too bad you can't dip it in mask. That would have been... I think at that point that would be called conformal coat, which actually for that one board, that would have almost been easier to just conformal coat the thing. Because I think that would also stop the oxidation, because... it would also make it even harder if I ever had to repair it, but it would not be able to oxidize after being conformal coated. Yeah, maybe the dirt was holding the mask on. Yeah, that is very possible. Very plastic dip. Anyone know the answer to VHS's question? Will a 41256 DRAM work in place of a 4256? I don't know the answer to that. I'd have to look at a data sheet. Alright, surely this one board is done by now. Oh yeah, okay, I think it's done. Okay, I think the SCSI board is done enough to set to the side. I'm probably going to have to put them in a little more. So let me put this board in the the precision UV curing device. Right. I might have to soup this UV curing device up because it's not going fast enough for me. But we will have these boards. We will have these boards ready to put back together. And in fact, I'm even thinking of trying this thing out. And I even remember to plug an HDMI cable in so I could. But this is an RGB to HDMI. I even have the SD card configured. I have the instructions down here somewhere. And that's mainly just because I want to make sure I put it in the correct place on the Amiga 1000. Because it goes... And then I've got to put a clip on one of the wires. Yay. Oh, well that's interesting. The instructions don't... The instructions say, remove Denise. Carefully pry Denise out of its socket in your Amiga 1000. The instructions do not, although I think I know which chip Denise has to be because of the other two chips this board will not fit. But I would have thought the instructions would have maybe confirmed which one Denise is. And by the way, I think during my last stream I had mentioned on this RGB to HDMI that it looked like there was an Oriole with a bat in the corner of this logo. I believe I have now figured out that this board was designed by Linux Jedi, as clearly it says on this board. That is a penguin with a lightsaber. A lightsaber. That is not an Oriole with a bat. Anyways, and yes, the Raspberry Pi looks upside down because it is not. That is how it goes on this board. There is helpful text, I think, on somewhere on this board, or somewhere on it, that points out that it will look upside down. But pin 1 is right there, and pin 1 on the Raspberry Pi is right here. So it does go on the board like that, which is helpful because that means the HDMI port will be facing towards the back of the computer. But I'm very tempted to go ahead and install this because why not? Ah, there we go. Because it's just an easy pull the Denise chip, put this board in its place, put Denise on here, and then hook up it even comes with a little clip to clip the correct pin signal where the C-Sync is, so that I don't even have to modify the Amiga, and I have crystal clear video output tapped directly off of the Denise chip. So that will be really nice. Let's see. Let me check the solder mask. I tried to paint it on. All right, it's still a little tacky on this board. I tried to paint it on as light as I could. I also did make, I've got a Blue Scuzzy. that has a blank image card that I kind of wanted to try this, but, and this is probably going to lead me to posting something on Tinker Different. And actually, I may have left the floppy disks upstairs. No, I set them over on the shelf. So, I have 2 floppy disks that have the drivers for this card on it. But I would like to find the images on the internet, because I don't know if I'll be able to create images from those floppy disks anytime soon. That would either require me to have a working Amiga floppy drive or get one of those reader-writer things in a PC drive. So this is the C LTD, I think A1000 SCSI. And that's about all the information I have on it. And if I could get, this does not have a ROM on it. So this card will not auto boot. So in order to use it, I need the disk. So yeah, so while we wait for this UV solder mask to finish curing, I wish it was going faster. I tried to paint it on as light as I could. Smash that like button, and if you're not subscribed already, well, now's a good time, because I'll have some more videos for the Amiga 1000 at some point, or on it. Oh, wow. Well, that's still tacky, and I just... Oh, I need to touch up that solder mask. There we go. Alright, I'm going to do something wild and crazy. I'm going to pull the bottom out of this thing. And I'm going to... There we go. Yeah. Yes, thanks, Joe, for being my enforcer. So if I can get ADF images for this SCSI board before I can try to read the discs I have, I'm hoping they work. Then I can try this. I'm hoping it'll work. So while it won't auto boot, at least it'll let me have a SCSI volume. Also, one other thing, I would like to find the disk board, but I believe this will auto-configure in Kickstart 1.3, is the disk for the Insider 1 meg card from DKB Software. I have not managed, no one's archived that disk either. So those are the 2 devices that I would sure love to have know that there are archived disks online. Although if I can manage to find a way to read these 2 Amiga disks out for the SCSI card, then I'll archive them. I'm assuming they work. Yeah, that would seem to be the Amiga 1000 way. More daughter cards than motherboards. And we won't even go into the expansion chassis I have, where I have... Oh, wait a minute, this isn't a SCSI card. The SCSI card is... I can't read... Oh, no, the SCSI card's beside me. Because I have, for the expansion chassis, I have a... I think this is an actual Commodore RAM expansion card. So this has 2 megabytes on it. And it'd be 2 megabytes of fast RAM. And yep, I even have a capacitor to replace that one. There's 2 on it. Although yeah, this would have been in that same attic because that was in the expansion chassis along with the SCSI card here, which I somewhere have an axial capacitor for it. Somewhere I have another axial capacitor. Or maybe I did find it today. So that's 22016. Or I'll just order more because maybe... I don't remember what these were. Oh, 33/16. Okay. Somewhere I have a stash of axials. What the ROM for the ROM, those chips, I suspect those are if I know Commodore, I suspect those are like PAL or GAL chips. I don't think those are ROMs. Although I guess they could be ROMs. The board probably auto configures, so there might be a ROM on it for auto configure. But I'm not exactly sure. I don't know how Amiga auto configured. Oh, the daughter card, the CPU. Oh, that one. That's a no slot clock. That is a Dallas DS 1216 no slot clock that I'm sure the battery is very dead. And I actually think this is the same Dallas module that the Apple IIc could use. And I believe I could replace this with the Reactive Micro module. And it would probably work fine. Assuming I had the disk for this card. Because without that, I don't have the program that can set that clock. Or I guess that disk or one like it that has a similar program that is designed for that. But yeah, that's a Dallas no slot clock. And then there's a PAL on it too. Because uh-oh. Oh, okay. That's probably fine. I just noticed one of these clips is... The wire is somewhat fragile. So I'm sure I will manage to break it at some point without meaning to. Okay. It is also possible that ROM socket might be usable for something, but I don't have the instructions for the card. Well, that solder mask still... Alright, I'm going to put it in for a little while, another minute or two, just to make sure it's cured. It still feels tacky. Now, the thing is, on this daughter card here, the instruction, or the description, the marketing literature for this card mentioned that you could use this in combination with DKB Software's Kickstart adapter, but I've never seen that board to know if maybe this ROM socket was used for that, or if maybe they just used this no slot clock because that was the easiest way of adding a clock. Because it does not actually pass through. So it doesn't connect to one of the ROMs, for example. So So I'm hoping it works. At least it doesn't have empty RAM on it. I'm hoping it works. Okay. Yeah, the board that this one board, I want to make sure it's cured because once I put it back on the Amiga, I don't want to pull it off again. The other two smaller boards I don't mind. They're easier to pull off and put back on, but just lining up all those pins is painful. So, well, all right. While I wait for that board to finish marinating under the UV light for what seems like forever, let me just go ahead and put the UV solder mask back in the drawer in a spot where I hopefully won't make a mess. Let's see here. I'm probably going to be blowing UV solder mask off my bench for the next 3 weeks now. All right. Well, I hope it works too, Joe. I'm not sure how PALs work to know if that would work or not, but I hope it works. I guess depending on what the PAL's doing, it could. All right, what was I? Oh, yeah, I was just going to confirm. Going to confirm that the Amiga or the Denise chip is the one that I think it is. Just to make sure. All right. You know, it would have been it would have been too easy to have see, I think it's 8362 R5. I'm pretty sure that's Denise. 8362 R5. I'm pretty sure that's the Denise chip. $83.62 R5. Yep, okay. I'm going to trust Wikipedia. But only because that it matches what I suspected was Denise. Well, and they've got a picture from somewhere that quite possibly an early production that someone wrote Denise on the top of the chip. Oh. You know, I had it on constant mode and it kicked itself off. Interesting. All right, I will... There we go. Okay, I found a source other than Wikipedia to confirm that, yes, that is the chip that I thought was Denise is Denise. Okay. I'm pretty sure that is UV cured now. Yeah, that feels good. Okay. Now we will return to Amiga 1000 Adventures. Now that I know that that board is good and cured. So let me zoom out because the Amiga 1000 motherboard is ginormous. All right, so I am going to install the RGB to HDMI. And to do this, I'm just going to go ahead and do it without the daughter board installed. Make it a little easier. But this is Denise. Everyone say hello, Denise. Well, that's weird. I sure thought I... Oh. That's right. All right. So we extract Denise. We then put Denise on the RGB to HDMI, aligning the notch up. Luckily, this uses the nice turned pin sockets. If I can just get the chip lined up. Well, it looks like I might have to... Oh, there we go. There we go. And it's got turned pins on it, so this will be... It does appear to be a single wipe socket. I got this from... I bought this one from Tindy. Let me see if I can find the seller here. I bought it from Tindy. I think it may have actually, well, may or may not have actually come from Linux Jedi. Well, the logo on the corner appears to be the same. Anyways, that is the board right there. So I bought that. Came straight from the UK. and I hope it works. So basically, you get the black PCB, and it was assembled. It's got the CPLD on it, a header for the Raspberry Pi, the jumper cable that I need to look at the instructions to see what I need to connect to. C-Sync is U6A. Alright, so U6A is that chip there, and it is pin 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Is that right? All right. Let me double check my counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep. All right. So that's picking up the C-Sync pin that, for whatever reason's not, it doesn't go to the Denise chip on this revision of the board. All right, just trying to tuck that down. I can straighten that up later. All right, so got that in. All right, I guess let me line this board up here. Hopefully will be the last time I need to install it. I'll have to have the screws for it somewhere, but I'll have to find them. I did a very poor job of disassembling this computer, so the screws are everywhere on my workbench. Basically, when I got this computer, I was so excited and also was worried that it might have had a battery inside of it because I didn't realize that the Amiga 1000 didn't have a clock chip in it. So I disassembled this not on a live stream as soon as I got it because I wanted to remove the battery if there was one in here before it could potentially cause any more damage. All to realize when I got it apart that no, Amiga 1000s don't have batteries in them. Amiga 1000s didn't get all the cool features that later Amigas had, so there was no battery to cause damage. All right. So I've got the RGB to HDMI. Let me plug in my HDMI adapter. I'm hoping it'll clear that component there. If this works, I'll probably order a cable that I can pass through an opening in the case. That will hopefully better clear this component here. All right. All right. There we go. HDMI cable, power. Oh. Gotek. Alright, I think that's everything I need to power it up. Except I do need to switch the scaler to HDMI. And the only reason I plugged it into the scaler was just so I could share the HDMI output. Alright. Turn the Amiga on. And switch the Gotek to the... Okay, I need to do an auto calibrate. I think that's why there's that noise on the one side of the screen. So it is loading Kickstart. I am trying to locate the push button. Automatic calibration. Okay, Workbench. Put the Workbench disk in. I need to wait till I get to a static screen, and then I can run an auto calibrate. Of course, I'm going to have fun plugging... Oh, there we go. That looks great. Let me see if I can manage to plug this in with the... Actually, I think I'm going to... I think I'm going to use something just to touch those contacts. Okay, now that I've got a static screen... Oh, there we go. Workbench is loaded. Using the button. Open the menu, hold down the button for a second or two. Quick press is to move to the next item, long press to select. Whoops. Not long enough. Okay, let's see here. Where is the... Oh, there we go. Auto calibrate button. All right, running an auto calibrate. Well, that looks good. There, we saved it. All right. All right, that looks really good. I don't know why the edge of the screen looks like there's a little dancing pixel. It might be the beta release I'm using, because I've got the beta firmware installed. But wow, that looks really good. Looks really good. So I guess to compare, I will plug the composite cable in. So if you kind of want to see what it looked like before and after. So that should be the composite cable I was using. Because I think with this adapter I can still use the... Alright, so that's what it looks like with the composite output. Kind of see noise in the picture. And switch back to HDMI. So with the direct output, the image is crystal clear. The mouse isn't waving due to weird artifacts, which are probably induced by the capture card. That actually kind of looks more like the correct blue than the composite color. Although, well, I guess that blue is the correct composite color. That looks really nice. Oh, I just realized. I don't have all the memory that I should. Alright, well, let me turn that off, especially since I saved the settings. Now this board, I probably am going to have to UV cure it just a little while longer because alright, this is the 250, the chip RAM upgrade, so I'm going to put that in. Let me switch back to Kickstart. And yeah, it's booting Kickstart. I believe if it detects the Kickstart disk is in the drive, it doesn't even bother to show you the Kickstart prompt. So there, that should be the Workbench disk. And it took it. So there we go. Copyright 1987, Commodore Amiga Incorporated. All rights reserved. Release 1.3. Amiga Workbench Disk Release 1.3.3, version 34.34. So yeah, if you pay Cloanto for the $10, what do they call it? Let me see what they call it. The value, it's not the value edition. It is the... I'll have to add a link to the... I'll have to add a link to the video description, probably, because I searched for it upstairs, and... Of course, they're going to make it harder to find. Apparently, the package I bought from... It's from Amiga Forever. It's not obviously listed on their website. I found a link on the internet that took me to the page where you bought that package. Oh, there we go. They call it, it's the floppy and hard drive image pack. So yeah, you go to their online store and tell them you want to order the floppy and hard drive image pack. So basically that gives you... It's the floppy and hard drive images. I get it's their intended way of, if you have already have an Amiga and you misplaced your Workbench disks, because it's assuming that you already have licensed ROMs, which on an Amiga 1000 I'm already licensed. Yes, Bruce. I will send you my email. Or actually, you can go to YouTube and get it. Or can find a place to put them. I would very much enjoy some Amiga image files. But to get this up and running, I paid Cloanta the $9.95 to get the floppy and hard disk image pack. It's intended for if you already have licensed ROMs, which I have licensed ROMs because this is an Amiga 1000. I just needed the images. And yes, that pack does include the Kickstart image for the Amiga 1000 because Cloanto realizes that if you've lost your Workbench disk, you probably lost your Kickstart disk too. Not that I've lost it. It's just the floppy drive needs service because I actually I've got, well, there's the Amiga Kickstart disk I tried to boot last stream. And Kaleidoscope, it apparently came free with, I think these might be the discs that originally came with this computer, in fact. So I don't know what Kaleidoscope is. If the disc still works. And then I think I've got Kickstart. No, I haven't really figured out what else is in this box that came with this Amiga. Or, well, actually, I should probably add it. I asked my coworker if he could check his attic again for the keyboard and mouse, and he found some boxes. So I actually have Kickstart and Workbench 1.2, which look like they might be in worse shape because the discs look like they look like the adhesives come off. But it's got Amiga Basic. And I've got ProWrite word processor. And this disc looks like it's in really... Ugh. I don't know. That disc may not work. And I've got an IBM Personal System 2 Model P7386 reference diskette that has probably been formatted as an Amiga disk. Wonderful. Oh. And that is... Okay. And that is a software license or something that has personal information on it, so I'm going to quickly move it away from the stream. I've got a modem. A very yellowed modem. I might practice retrobrighting on this because that would probably be a good practice item. But yeah, it's a 2400 baud modem. Wonderful. And then I got the keyboard and mouse. Oh. Oh, it's probably the serial cable for the modem. And then I got a keyboard and mouse. Well, I guess, actually, now's as good a time as any. Since I'm digging through this box. All right. Ugh. Okay, this is one gross keyboard. Really gross. So gross that I don't even want to set it on my desk. It's that gross. If it works, I will be really surprised. The mouse is not much better. And in fact, I'm going to be surprised if it works too. I'm also not exactly sure which port is the intended mouse port. Well, I'll try J11. Oh, I'm not going to be able to plug the mouse in. Unless I find something to prop the motherboard up with. Okay. Non-conductive props. Yeah, at least I'm wearing gloves. That's definitely for sure. Because that's how gross this thing is. I really don't expect this mouse is going to work. I really don't. Because it probably needs cleaned badly. Alright, I think a knock to a box is the right height to prop this up so that I can leave the mouse plugged in. Alright. There's the mouse. At least on my monitor of the view of what's going out on the live stream, it doesn't look as yellow as it does in person. It is the actual Amiga mouse, though. Alright. Oh. Kickstart. Alright, well, at least the mouse ball didn't turn into a rubber goo pile. Alright. And Workbench. Yeah, that's... The keyboard isn't gross because it's yellowed. It's gross because there's, like, dirt everywhere. Alright, I don't know at what point during the boot process the mouse should move. It's quite possible that this mouse probably needs cleaned. Okay, the mouse does appear to be not working. Unless it needs to be in this other port. Okay, mouse probably needs to be serviced. Oh, wait! Oh, the rollers might be dirty. You see that? I got it to move slightly. Hey, mouse button works. Okay. That's good. The mouse needs cleaned. It's not rolling. But I'm trying to use my pants. Alright, keyboard. Amiga key. Does the Amiga key do anything? Okay, the keyboard does appear to be dead. Because caps lock is not working. Alright, so keyboard probably needs major maintenance. Mouse needs, well, probably needs major maintenance too. Alright. So yep, that will be the next step. Keyboard and mouse. But at least the Amiga logic board is... I just realized that, I bet putting that shield back on that might help with the noise a little. Anyways, so the good, I've got UV solder mask on these boards where it came off during the ultrasonic clean. Once I end the stream, there's a few of these boards I'm going to put under the UV light for a little while longer just to make sure the solder mask is good and cured. The RGB to HDMI works nicely. There's a button that it came with. I don't think I'm going to plug the button in because the button's not long enough to... Oh, might help if I do this. The button is not long enough to really reach anywhere on the case where I might want to put the button through the case. Although I don't know that I really want to drill a hole in the Amiga 1000 for the button. So I think I may just keep the button off, and if I ever have to calibrate the RGB to HDMI, I'll just take the cover of the Amiga off and do it that way. Unless I can find a spot on the case that I've forgotten about where there might already be a hole that I can pass the button through. Now, the HDMI cable for the RGB to HDMI, I'm hoping I can find a cable that'll slip through some existing opening in the case. Although I may... That one would possibly be the one where I might... I don't really want to drill a hole through the case. That's the thing. I'll find an opening to pass the HDMI cable through. Last resort would be creating a hole. I'll first really... As I don't have all the case parts in front of me to look at them to see where there might be a hole I can make use of. So, but that looks great. The nice crisp image from the RGB to HDMI. I'm not going to remove it because it is a single wipe socket that it's in. So I definitely will just keep it in place. I may try to, because I believe this Denise chip is one of the early ones that doesn't support extra half bright mode. I might look into buying a replacement Denise that supports the extra half bright mode. But other than that, RGB to HDMI will just stay. And in fact, I may just not do that because quite honestly, knowing that I have a working chip is maybe more important than extra half bright mode. I'm going to look into finding the STL file, the 3D print, a Gotek holder so that I can put the Gotek out the front. Because I'm really leaning towards just going ahead and permanently installing the Gotek into this Amiga. I'll still try to service the floppy drive. Because I might... That'd be... If I have a working floppy drive, then it'll be easier to create disk images. Because I can just use the Gotek and the floppy drive. If I get the floppy drive working, I might look into one of those boards that lets you flip disk 0 and disk 1 and put the Amiga, put the Gotek as the external drive, but as disk 0. And then the internal floppy drive would be disk 1. And that way I could use the Gotek most of the time, save wear and tear on physical disks. But if I ever needed to image a floppy, then I could use the internal drive. So I may look into one of those, especially if I can install that without modifying the board. Because it's kind of one of the things for a computer like this. My theory on the topic is to try to do the least invasive procedures to get the computer running. Because these are kind of valuable. Just look on eBay and see what Amiga 1000s go for. So that's why I really don't want to drill a hole for the RGB to HDMI, but the fact that it makes it so much easier to use with modern technology, because a lot of displays don't do composite video anymore. And if they do, it's not going to work right with some of the tricks that computers of the day played to do the colors. So, but I think if I can find a small enough HDMI cable to pass through the computer, I'm hoping I can find some opening somewhere on the case where I can pass it through, or find the most unobtrusive spot. But I don't really want to drill a hole through it. But I don't mind installing a board like this RGB to HDMI because I can undo it. I can pull the board out, put the Denise chip back on, unclip that wire, gone. Board's back to normal. Putting a Gotek inside the case, if I decide to put it in the case on the STL bracket, again, I could pull the Gotek out, I could put the original floppy drive back in, boom, it's back to normal. Adapters that plug into it, fine. I'm not modifying the actual computer. Ah, good. Yeah, I was thinking there was something like that. A flat ribbon type HDMI cable. So yeah, because that I would be able to pass through a crack in the case. So I'll look for one of those. I really don't want to drill holes in the case. If there was a hole already drilled in the case that I could make use of, that's one thing. If it was last resort, I'd still try not to. I mean, sometimes though, to get computers like this to run, you've got to do things. But I for something like this, where they're hard to come by, they're expensive. This is the type of computer where I want to take do things that are reversible that make it easier to use. But when it comes to having to actually break traces to do things, then that's why I'm actually kind of leaning away from putting one of those Kickstart adapters in. Or actually, the Kickstart adapter boards, I think those you can get them with clip wires. So that's one thing, you could undo that. But somewhere online, I've seen the instructions where I think back in the day, there were people that actually took the boot ROMs out and put Kickstart ROMs in to these Amiga 1000s. But to do that, you actually do have to break traces, and because there's some jumpers somewhere on the board that I have. Well, they don't look like jumpers, but I think I know where they are. I'm not going to do that. Quite honestly, loading Kickstart, it doesn't take that long. With a Gotek, it's really not that painful. So, but anyways, so that, I think, pretty much wraps up where I wanted to get tonight. I really wanted to, since I'd ultrasonically cleaned these boards this weekend and saw that I had solder mask to repair, I wanted to do that. I figured I might as well try to see if I could get it to boot all the way with a Gotek. It was actually really easy to configure the Gotek. And it just plugged straight into the ribbon cable that the floppy drive was on. And I've got it booting Workbench. So that really tells me that the original floppy drive, either it needs recapped, which is possible, or it needs relubricated, which I think is a definite. It needs cleaned, which is probably also definite, or all of the above. It may still need recapped. There are a few electrolytic capacitors on it. These capacitors that are on the original floppy drive don't look as bad as some of the others that were in the computer, but, well, the whole computer was stored in the same place. So this floppy drive may need recapped. I'll just have to, but the thing is, I will have to find small capacitors. I definitely don't have anything small enough on hand because these capacitors, there is a definite height restriction on these capacitors. That I can see for sure just by the way the drive's designed. So, but with the Gotek though, I may not, I'm not going to worry about the floppy drive that soon. So anyways, with that, if you like this video, smash that like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, because I have more Amiga content that will be coming out as I can. I probably will also create some scripted videos on the Amiga 1000. I do have these upgrades that as I get what I need to use them, I will certainly try them. Obviously, I got a keyboard and a mouse for this computer that need serviced. I definitely don't know what I'm going to need for that, so I will probably have a stream where I just take them apart far enough to figure out what I might need to get to fix them, because I don't know what type of keyboard this is. Is it a membrane or what? But anyways, yeah. So there's definitely more Amiga content coming, even though to some people's dismay, they were thinking, why are you streaming an already working computer? Well, there's still things to fix about this computer. That's for sure. But this is great. I can confirm that it does boot all the way, and I don't have to worry about that copper corroding where the solder mask came off during the ultrasonic cleaning. So with that, I'm going to wish everyone a great evening, and I hope to see you next time. So take care, and see you soon.